Welcome back to those who've looked at my other videos. My subject matter is education, children, learning, and instruction. And in that regard, I'd like to talk on this occasion about what I refer to as the stimulation for learning with respect to children. Why is this important? We want to support the development of our children to become independent thinkers, persons who are able to learn quickly, and they will also be able to perform at higher levels. And in order to do that while they remain young, we want to set an environment in which we can stimulate their learning. In this regard, I want to talk about two particular areas in this podcast. One is challenge for children, and number two, the concept of repetition. So that's challenge number one, and then number two, repetition. All youngsters love a challenge. If you teach a 3 or 4-year-old to tie their shoes, and then at a later date, after they've learned that, you attempt to tie the shoe for them, you're going to discover that they are going to be not happy or unpleased. They're going to say, no, I can do it myself, because they are designed for challenge and for learning. In my own life, I recall at around 11 years old, 10 or 11 years old, at a summer camp, or I should say a community center camp, I was instructed and taught how to play the game of chess, and I did not know how to do that prior. And during the process of learning this board game, how the pieces move and how to win and strategize, the instructor mentioned a concept to me called a sacrifice. And I said, well, what in the world is a sacrifice? And they explained it that what you would do, it's a strategy and a tactic of a sort. You would yield a position or give away a piece, but you did that with a purpose, such that you could gain space and terrain so that at a later date you could recapture more than what you had given up. And I found that to be a really fascinating learning piece. And so board games are another an interesting way of helping youngsters be introduced to a variety of ideas and concepts. I would suggest playing cards too. Some people use playing cards for other purposes, but for playing cards, you must identify the cards, and you must also be able to learn the system in which the cards represent. What is high, what is low, what will win and what will not win. For younger children, this is an important feature, and it does satisfy that desire for a challenge. In addition, regarding youngsters, I would suggest in their room where they spend most of their time, that the wall or walls of the room address those walls with pictures, a variety of pictures, perhaps pictures of not just athletes, but famous musicians, persons who are actors, persons who are famous artists, individuals who are dancers, as well as persons who have a history of academic excellence that's known by the community. Put those pictures, I would suggest, in prominent places in the room of the child. And if they want to add some at another date, I would definitely permit that. But it acts as a challenge and a stimulus which they may not be aware of, but I would suggest that to you. That discussion is under the topic of challenge. And before I leave challenge, it just occurred to me that I was one other area, and that is the area of books and reading to younger children. It is of great importance if you can read to a child. And similarly, once they are able to read words and to understand, have the child read aloud to you. It's of incredible benefit in terms of developing their personal sense of worth and self-esteem. Number two, after challenge, is this concept of repetition. I believe in homework, work which is done at home, that's a repetition of what a youngster may have learned in school. He or her may have learned a concept or an idea in school, but at the end of the day, that should not be the end of that. They should practice that at home. I would recommend at home that they have a particular place where they would do their homework, a particular time period in which they do their homework, and I would also suggest that you monitor the completion of the homework. These are very important in terms of this concept of repetition and also establishing discipline. I would make a suggestion perhaps that if they can memorize very short stories or short poems, if they attend a church or other spiritual environment, that they may memorize Bible verses and things of that sort that they can be called upon to repeat out loud. These things, challenge and repetition, I believe will really help a child in the area of education, learning, and general instruction. Thanks for your time.